Guys, it is time to celebrate the 1600 subscriber special when we're actually closer to 2500 subscribers. Yeah, I really fell off of these during my move, and first of all, just thank you. Thank all of you so much for discovering me, for hanging out with me, for sticking with me, and it says a lot that literally by losing about, 3 or 4 weeks during the move, there's a lot of these top 10s and top 5s I'm going to have to film to catch up. But at long last, it is time for me to do top 10 Thundercrackers in my collection. Thundercracker is my absolute favorite Transformers character. He is my favorite Decepticon, he is my favorite Transformer, he's one of my favorite characters in fiction, he is my favorite character to get toys of. I don't have every Thundercracker toy, unfortunately. I like to think I have a pretty good collection of them, but out of all Transformers, the only character I have more of is Optimus. That said, I have a pretty varied collection of Thundercrackers. I like to think I have most of the major depictions of him in plastic form, as well as a couple of other oddballs. A couple things to go over right now. Number 1. Only Thundercrackers in this list. I have toys that share a mold with Thundercracker, but if I don't have the Thundercracker version of it, it does not count. Alongside that, it has to be Thundercrackers I own. So even though there are other Thundercrackers out there that look amazing and would absolutely be on this list, Thundercrackers like the 3-0 Thundercracker, if I don't own it, it can't be here. That said, I still am really happy with my Thundercracker collection, and I'm even happier that I get to show it off to all you guys today to celebrate this milestone. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me, and now, let's actually go into the top 10 of my boy. As an honorable mention, I do have to give a little bit of a shout out to this, my custom Cybertron Thundercracker. I took the Legacy United Cybertron Starscream, took some Gundam markers, and made the Thundercracker that I think we should have gotten all those years ago. I still really like this guy. I'm proud of him, even though I know for a fact this is a rough custom. But because of that, the fact that it is a custom, the fact that you can't just get this guy in a store, and the fact that it's not the best custom in the world, I can't put him on my list in good conscience. And even if he was on the list, he would not be my number 1, he would not be in my top 3. He's still one of my favorite Thundercrackers of all time, though. At number 10, it's the Studio Series Bumblebee Movie Thundercracker. There's a couple things to point out right now, right? 1, do not like the jet mode. Jet mode's just a bit of a mess. That said, the transformation to get to that jet mode is incredible, as is this robot mode. Incredibly posable, very large. I love the design of the Seeker robot mode from the Bumblebee movies, and I feel like I never hear anyone talk about this part of it, right? People talk about how alien it looks, how this looks like a gas mask or an aviation mask. The thing I love about it is how ugly they are. Ugly in a good way, but they're so lanky and disproportionate. They feel like they're all just, I don't want to use the term negatively, but cretins. They look like, Creon listening to Oedipus. They look like they're in the shadows scheming. All of them do. And it's incredible. I don't have the Starscream still, but Thundercracker and Skywarp are some of my favorite figures to pull down from this shelf, and Thundercracker especially is rocking just the best color scheme that any figure from this mold had. As a result, he had to be number 10. There's going to be quite a few controversial placements on this list, because at number 9, we have Earthrise Thundercracker, and there's going to be a lot more when it comes to the possibly mismanaged picks as we go on. The thing is, right, I like this mold a lot. The transformation's great, the robot mode's good, and I love the jet mode. The thing is, it's not the most posable figure. I love it. I love the Earthrise Seeker, but especially coming right off the Siege Seeker, these guys are just so blocky by comparison. Still very fun, but I don't know, I just wish that they could do a little bit more. I wish that maybe the knees or the elbows could be of better use, because right now it's a lot of single joints and parts collisions. It's very similar to the classic Seeker mold, both for better and for worse. I like this Thundercracker a lot. He's my main display Thundercracker. That said, it'd be a stretch to ever call him my favorite. At number 8, it's the Blockies Thundercracker. I just love him. I love him so much. He's the best looking Blockies figure in my collection. He's the entire reason I even got into Blockies, because I saw a picture of Thundercracker and wanted him specifically. I adore the little minifigure. I think it's a great build, and it gives you a very fun and characterful Thundercracker. The articulation, even though there's not many points of it, actually do all have such great range to give you so many options with this guy, and it makes for one of the most fun Thundercrackers to pose around. The controversy continues at number 7. That's Generations Thundercracker. This is the Classics repaint of Thundercracker, and he's great. I love him. I'm nostalgic for him. The thing is, I didn't grow up with the Classics Seeker mold for Thundercracker. This was my Starscream, not my Thundercracker. And this is the Thundercracker I always wanted, and the one that I chose to track down as an adult, the one that I adore, the one that I still have on my Decepticon shelf to this day. And as much as there's so many good points to the Classics mold still, transformation's still great, jet mode's still beautiful, the robot mode is very dated, the articulation's rough, and always was rough, and the missile launchers are just a touch too big. I mean, he can't even point them without kind of forcing the wings back. That said, still a great Thundercracker, still a great display piece, still a wonderful part of any collection. Again, just kind of like the Earthrise Thundercracker, he's not exactly going to top my list, not if I'm going to be genuine with myself and with you guys. Number 6 is where I'm legitimately worried people might try to burn my house down. That is the Make Toys Lightning. It is, in my opinion, the best version of a Masterpiece Thundercracker. It is also just number 6 on the list. It's not because I dislike the mold. I'm going to post the review and I had some issues with it, don't get me wrong, but I do like the mold overall. I love how it feels as Skycrow. When I do this version of the list for Skywarp, Skycrow might be number 1. It's just, there's something about Lightning. I think it's a combination of, even though Thundercracker is my favorite character, the G1 cartoon design isn't necessarily the design that pops into my mind, as well as the fact that at the end of the day, I'm just not a Masterpiece collector. I have a few, like less than 10. Real quick, I'm going to count up. I have 5. I have 5 Masterpiece figures. They're not my bread and butter. They have design elements that I don't like, and this Thundercracker has them too. Complex transformations, the die-cast metal, the parts that feel very, very fragile, things like the fingers, the waist, some of the hinges. He's not a Thundercracker I like playing with. He's not a Thundercracker I like posing with. Do I adore having him? Absolutely. Getting him, Skycrow, and Slipswarm might be one of the all-time collecting highlights for me, and having them together on a shelf blows my mind still, because I have basically the 3 best versions of Thundercracker, Skywarp, and Slipstream. That said, he, again, like so many Thundercrackers before him, I just have to say, he's not my personal favorite. I still love him. I still think he's great. At number 5, it's the Siege Thundercracker, and I still just love this guy. I remember when we first got the pictures of him, and like some of the parts were still Starscream because they were just trying to basically kit bash him to show what the color scheme would look like. But in those photos, we saw that smirking head sculpt, and it's everything I want. So much character, so much posability, a great vehicle mode. Transformation's not great, but I do like that Tetrajet. And there's so many things to like about this Thundercracker. How unique he is. How much of a display space he can cover up. Sure, there's things people dislike. Things like the paint damage and the, kind of over-sculpted detail. There's a lot of greebly bits on him. But then you got things like these crazy posable wings that can give you so many emotions. So much range in every single limb. All the joints just buttery smooth. This is a modern Thundercracker done right. Voyager-sized, massive, weighty, a good addition to any collection. If I were just to say what is objectively the best Thundercracker on this list, this might be it. That said, there are 4 Thundercrackers that I would place higher than it, just because of, in all honesty, personal nostalgia. We're on the Mount Rushmore of Thundercrackers now, and in the Teddy Roosevelt spot, this is Robot Masters Thundercracker. most people would never consider putting this toy on a list like this. He's weird and not articulated, he's hard to find, and when you do find him, he's basically worthless. That said, there's such great intrigue with this figure for me. Like, there's some great unsung history here. The thing about him, right? He came out in 2005. This mold came out in 2004. In 2006, Classic Starscream comes out. And even though he might look a lot more rough than the Classic Seeker mold, almost all of the transformation steps and the proportions of that Classic Seeker mold come from this guy. Like, this is a missing link of a figure. This design, this Robot Master Seeker, is what set the stage for Takara Tomy to say, we could do better than that. Let's take the bones and try again. And that made the iconic version of the Seeker transformation, one that we're still seeing variations of in Masterpiece alikes, in Earthrise, in so many different places, New Age, Magic Square. Basically, the way you do a Seeker transformation was decided with the classics, and the classics got there because this was their starting off point. I really want to get the Starscream from Robot Masters, and then I kind of want to do a many toys of style video, just talking about the history of this particular mold, how it came together, who designed it, and how it specifically can correlate with the classic Seeker mold, because I do think it's one of the most important figures in Transformers history, even if it's one most people would gladly pass over. I love my Robot Masters Thundercracker. I love his chewy blue. I love his weird proportions. I love his really big wide face that makes him look like a dumb henchman. I love having him on my shelf. I love having him with Skywarp. I love him. I love him, and I love everything that could have come as a result of him. And for those reasons, this guy is number 4. And in all honesty, I think I'm starting to sell myself that he should have been higher up on the list, but, you know, we're already this deep in. Number 4 is a good spot for him. But I'm serious about this. Look at that G1 mold, look at that Classics mold. Tell me you don't see how he's the missing link between those two. At number 3, taking our bronze medal, it is the Armada Thundercracker. Armada Thundercracker is the first time I ever heard of a character named Thundercracker, back in Transformers Armada, when Starscream looked at his new blue paint job and mumbled out, "I look like Thundercracker." I love this figure. It has a lot of issues, of course it does. It's an old Armada toy, the articulation's not great, and some of the proportions are weird, but he's just so good. A massive figure with a great transformation, a really awesome sci-fi jet mode. So much personality and heft. This is one of my favorite Seeker figures. It is one of my favorite Thundercracker figures. I want to get the Skywarp so that I can finally have the main trio. And I'm going to tell you right now, I had the Armada Starscream for years. Getting this Thundercracker in the past year, like, I honestly spent hours just taking pictures of the two of them together, because it meant that I got to have my favorite version of Starscream as a kid, as well as the colors I preferred him in. Because even though this figure is Thundercracker, this is also just what Starscream looked like at the end of Transformers Armada. He's kind of a 2-for-1, I suppose. You can maybe make the argument he shouldn't be here. And I'm also going to say this. Those dreamy, dreamy, dreamy silver eyes can still win my heart every day. Look at him. That is a blue Magnum put into a blue jet. At number 2, it's the unending beauty of Alternity Thundercracker. Already one of the most unique Thundercrackers ever, because of course he turns into a car. But he's just so beautiful. Like this wonderful metallic electric blue. It's just the best. It's the best paint scheme I've ever seen on any Transformer. The proportions are really good too. I love that he's kind of more lanky and insectoid. I love his head sculpt. Let's get that head sculpt on nice and close in. Just look at this guy. Get these lights on. Get these lights on him. There we go. Look at this model. Look at this Adonis. Look at this god. Look at Hercules coming down the mountain, showing off the chest, showing off the pecs, his little headlight nipples flashing us. This is a beautiful, beautiful toy. One of my favorite figures in my entire collection. and it's a figure I wanted for so long. I wanted this guy for 10 years. For 10 years I wanted this guy, and then I find him, and he's beautiful, and he's perfect, and I love him. He is a holy grail that even now I look at him, and I'm just happy. That's my guy right there. That's my boy. That's my dude. Here, I'm gonna give him a little fist bump. Get over here, Thundercracker. Yeah. There we go. Boom. That's my bro right there. That's my guy, okay? I really like him. I don't know if you guys can tell. I don't know if you can tell by my stupid gushing how much I like him. He's just a beautiful toy. I would honestly go so far as to say, in my opinion, he's perfect for what he's wanting to be. He is the final evolution of alternators, taking licensed cars and doing their best to make the next level of Transformers in terms of design, in terms of complicated transformations, in terms of presentation. And he's one of the only Transformers in my entire collection that I could point to him and say, all the rest of this, I might be embarrassed if someone came in and saw, or there might be that moment where someone looked at it and said, oh, that's just a kid's toy. This is the one that if I show this to people, they're always like, this is so nice. Look at the paint. Look at the paint. Look at the paint. The paint is what does it. It is a wonderful Thundercracker. It probably should be number one. But my heart would not allow that. Because even though this guy is one of my guys, the next one up might be my favorite Transformer of all time. It's right up there with War for Cybertron Soundwave and 2007 Cliffjumper. At number one, it is Thrilling 30 Thundercracker. Now, this could be a couple things, depending on who you ask. This could be Fall of Cybertron Thundercracker, which absolutely that's what it was designed to be. But also, it's IDW Thundercracker, because Spotlight Thundercracker had him rocking this design. Regardless of what you call it, though, this is my childhood Thundercracker, man. This is the first Thundercracker I ever got. And he's so good to me still. I love everything about him. Like, he has just insane amounts of posability. Wonderful universals and hinges, double jointed elbows, good knees. These hips, like look at these. These hips do not lie. They go all the way out, baby. You have these huge, like, bell-bottom feet. You know, he looks like he's going about, and it's like, you know, you can tell by the way he does his walk, he's a ladies' man, no time to talk. And also, his guns, his cool Gatling guns, they are just the best. They are just the absolute best. I love Thundercracker. Missing his tail fin, unfortunately. That's the reality of being a childhood toy. Sometimes they don't have all their pieces. But I do really love this guy. His transformation is great. The jet mode looks really nice. But it's also just, I look at this guy and he's my Thundercracker. That's my Thundercracker, man. And I remember having him during some of the bad times. I remember having him when it was just in the car. I remember when, you know, I literally didn't have a home or a bed. But I had Thundercracker, and I had Soundwave, I had my classic Starscream, Classics Optimus, had a couple of Transformers with me, and that's all I needed, man. That's all I needed were those guys. Like, this Thundercracker, he legitimately was a figure that gave me comfort in a lot of times where there wasn't any other comfort coming my way. Like, as dumb as it may sound, him and Soundwave, and increasingly 2007 Cliffjumper, ever since I got him back in my life, like, they're like a security blanket. Like, you know, things might not be going great, and we're getting into autumn. Autumn's always a rough time of year for me. But it's like, you know, I come in here and I can pick him off the shelf, and it's like, hey, I got my Thundercracker. And as long as I got my Thundercracker, no one's gonna hurt me, you know? No one's gonna mess with me. I got my Thundercracker. This is my guy. This is my dude. I really do love this one. This is my favorite Thundercracker. This is my absolute favorite Thundercracker. It's one of my favorite Transformers. I really, really, really love this guy. And as a result, he kind of has to be number one now, doesn't he? Bringing the top three back in, and I'll say it again, Thundercracker is my favorite Transformer. He's the single character I like the most. He's the single character whose toys I'm the most excited to see they get announced. I love him. I love him so, so much. And a lot of it is because of that guy in the middle. But, having Armada Thundercracker and Alternative Thundercracker and then my childhood Thundercracker all together, it's weird. I've never actually put these three together like this. It feels good. It feels right. It feels amazing. This got to be a very emotional video. I'm sorry again, guys. You've been amazing. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you for waiting. I'm sorry that it took until like almost 1,000 subscribers later for us to actually do the 1,600 subscriber special. But you guys have just been spectacular to me. And I want to say that again. You guys have been just absolutely spectacular to me every single step of the way. And I just want to thank you all for that. In less melodramatic news, which is your favorite Thundercracker? Do you have a favorite version of the guy? And, you know, Transformers 1 comes out this week. Really excited for that one. Thundercracker might show up in that. Skywarp's already shown up in the commercials. So, hey, maybe the boy will show up, you know, fingers crossed. But it doesn't really matter. You know, it's cool just to talk about some of this stuff. But, on that note, we'll see what we get up to next time.